We're set. Good afternoon, Deborah. This is Conversations with Deborah, a bi-coastal dialogue. I'm Malcolm Berman on malcolmpresents.com with my co-host, Deborah Manning.
Hi, how are you, Malcolm?
I'm doing fine.
Good. It's Tuesday, January the 12th. And sorry for the noise in the background. We have a crystal clear day here in South Carolina in Greenville. And everyone's anticipating a bit of a storm coming in. And we take our storms very seriously here because we do get weather. And a lot of trees have been falling. So people are now going back through and trimming or cutting down their trees. We had to do that with ours. We just got two taken down. We got a third one will come down this next week. But the good thing about it is that as a Californian, because I'll always be in California, even though I'm here in South Carolina, we are planting for every tree we take down. We will be planting 1 to 2 additional trees to replace, because unfortunately in the area that we are located in, pruning of trees doesn't seem to be a big priority here. I'm not quite sure why, but it needs to be a priority, which it is with us. So at any rate, can you hear? I mean, it's amazing. We had a 100-foot tree that was taken down yesterday, and it was quite amazing. I mean,
100-foot tree. Wow.
Yeah, they put straps on this tree. They had a crane, and they would pick out enormous amounts of this tree, say 20 to 30 feet of tree, and lift it up off the tree after somebody had, they had a climber up there, and he would use an enormous buzz saw, a chainsaw, and would cut the top of the tree off, and they would then lift it up over the house and into the wood chipper. And they did that with 2 trees. And as I say, we've got one last tree, unfortunately, that we have to unfortunately get rid of. It's leaning a little bit too close. And when a tree leans, that means it doesn't recover. And if it falls, it would literally divide our house in half, which would not be a good thing.
No, I'm thinking of them with a crane. You said the trees go over the house. I was like, oh my God, what happens if it slipped?
Well, it's funny because I did ask about their insurance, and the man said, I'll show you my insurance policy, and they're guaranteed up to $2.5 million. I said, that should probably just about cover it. That would
right, yeah. Drop the tree. I need a new house for $2.5 million. Probably could get some nice.
I want to go through the time and trouble. So, what's news? You guys are going to be to impeach President Trump with less than 10 days before he leaves? Really?
Yes. Yes, I agree with them. Why? Well, several reasons, but one is punishment. One would be, number one, he would not. I don't know if the Secret Service would be assigned to him in his retirement, but number two, he would be prevented from running for elected office ever again. So, there goes out, 2024. He loses his pension, but I'm not sure if money is the thing with him. But he deserves.
No, because he gave his entire salary the full 4 years to charity. That.
But he deserves it. He deserves what he gets.
The problem I have with it, Malcolm, it seems a little bit vindictive. And I do have to say that this whole idea now of bringing the nation back together again, Mr. Biden has an opportunity to, quote unquote, bring the nation back together again. And by impeaching President Trump, you are not only alienating 74 million plus Americans, but you're making them even more pissed off than they are. So
yeah, but
I don't understand which vindictiveness has to do with bringing the country together again.
You're making 80 million Americans gleeful, happy, because he
be happy with being vindictive.
Well, number one, 74 million people who voted for him are not necessarily his fans per se. A lot of them are Republicans. It's the same way the 80 million who voted for Biden aren't necessarily Biden fans, but anti-Trump fans. there's a big divide in our country, and I don't know if anybody could,
And how does Malcolm, and how does impeachment for a president who has been supported by 74 million plus Americans who also still have questions about the voting situation that happened in 2020, how does that bring the nation together? How does that do?
I'm not sure, but I'm sure that
Doesn't. The answer is
the answer is
it's not going to do that. And that's counterproductive.
well, I think
That is what Venezuela does to its people. That's what Cuba does. That's what the Soviet Union does. It's crazy.
but
Let it
well, okay, that's questionable,
enough.
but
Let it go.
Trump did preach treason. He preached. I mean, from how? Number
How?
one, he brought those people into Washington, which they had their right to. But what he has been preaching since November was that it was definite the election was rigged. He didn't say we have. It might have been. Let's the courts decide, or let the Senate decide, or let the Congress decide. He said it was rigged. I was robbed. I won by a landslide. Let's take this by force. He said you can't be namby-pamby.
He didn't say by force.
He said you can't be namby-pamby. You
He
can't.
didn't say by force. He said you can peaceably assemble and you can go ahead and express your opinions in front of the Capitol building. Now, for some odd reason, which I find is very strange, why in the world does the Capitol building have breakable glass? I don't understand. Why did they not have security on hand?
I don't know.
And
Well, that's the thing that we should
happen?
find out, because supposedly the the FBI, I don't know if the CIA, but the FBI and the New York police had warned them, had said that there was.
Why wasn't something done? Was it almost like was it like an invitation?
It might have been an inside job. But why did they come? Why did someone come with these plastic ropes, these plastic binds, for handcuffing? Why did one of the guys come with Molotov cocktails, and why were they armed?
How many people peaceably assembled? I must say the outrage on this Capitol, and I was outraged when I saw it, absolutely flabbergasted, and I was more than angry. I was pissed off to see that. However, I must say that I don't understand why there is not the same anger looking at the summer of love in Portland, Seattle, Minneapolis. You know what?
Because
you know what Nancy Pelosi said? She said, people will be people. Well, you know what? That's not.
No. It's not comparable.
That's not acceptable.
It's not comparable. Number one.
It is comparable, my dear.
Number one.
It's violence.
It wasn't an extemporaneous type of thing. The thing was planned.
It's violence. It is violence against people. It is violence against the government. Government agencies were attacked in Portland and Seattle. The number of businesses that were burned in the name of Black Lives Matter, which they at that point had peaceable demonstrations, because I was upset about the situation with George Floyd, and I hope that the officer gets the book thrown at him.
But just one
police officer.
One point. Why do you think that they stormed the Senate and or Congress? They were.
They did it for show.
No, they were trying to prevent them from ratifying the election. That was almost like a revolution.
Why was there not adequate security? And I
agree with you.
Part of it was the fact that people wanted to have a spectacle, and I fault the security people for not realizing that they need to have.
I agree with you.
Having broken windows in the Capitol. Malcolm, they broke windows in the Capitol. Why in the hell isn't it bulletproof glass?
Well, it's not, I mean, we're congressmen with senators hiding under desks. Is this America?
No, it was
Yeah,
horrifying.
I mean,
It
and
was
these guys,
horrifying.
and what
It
were
was
they,
terrible.
and what were they yelling? Hang pens,
It was
hang
no.
pens.
I don't. It was a mob. It was a
The
mob.
mobs, right?
A mob in Seattle, the same way it's a
And,
mob. It is unacceptable behavior.
well, mobs are unacceptable,
Get out of the town.
But-
Do not do this.
but they attacked the democracy in Seattle or the other places. Yeah, it was, but Trump had since November. If you listen to what he says, he didn't say.
Listen, you cannot, you know what? You are personally responsible. Those people who entered the Capitol are personally responsible for what they did, and
Right.
they need to be prosecuted, period. End of story.
Yeah,
They
but
should not be given the pass that the rioters in Portland and the rioters in Minneapolis and the rioters in Seattle and the rioters in Louisville got. They should not get the same pass. They need to be prosecuted, period. End
Right.
of story. And there should be an investigation as to why there wasn't adequate security. They knew the number.
I agree. I mean,
there.
that's the one thing that we agree upon. But let's see what
And
happened.
To blame Trump because they what? Suddenly their brains were taken over by Trump.
Their
Bull.
their
They were
brain.
not taken over by Trump. They
Have you ever
made
seen
a
a Trump?
conscious decision
Have you ever
to
seen
enter the Capitol.
Have you ever
And it
seen a
was
Trump?
wrong.
Have you ever seen a Trump vet rally?
I beg your pardon?
Have you ever seen a Trump rally?
What does that have to do with
No,
this?
have you ever seen it? They will do anything he says.
No.
No.
You cannot give up your personal.
When they yell,
Malcolm, you cannot give up your personal responsibility. As
oh
soon
no,
as
I'm not.
as soon as you entered that window, you have broken the law.
Right.
Period. End of story.
I agree with you.
It is your fault, and you need to be
I
prosecuted.
agree with you. You cannot take personal responsibility. You
have to take personal
you have to take
responsibility.
it. But there a lot of people. I mean, I think we talked about one other show. There are the alpha personalities and the people that want to be led. Not everybody is a leader. Trump, for whatever reason, had the button on these people. He knew how you have to organize it.
There is personal responsibility here,
All
Malcolm.
right.
People who entered, they need to be prosecuted.
I agree. But
and I'll tell you, that is an excuse that, oh, Trump took over my brain. Oh, baloney.
But he's the one before, he's the one that gathered the crowd. They didn't come all of a sudden on their own volition. He said, I will be there. Come,
and that's fine. That is
January 6th.
Demonstrations. Where it became unpeaceful is when they climbed through that door.
I agree.
The window.
Yeah, but he's the one in the speech. He said, I will lead you down the street, which he was in his own room watching it on TV. We're never going to agree upon it, but
no. But no, we need to agree upon something. The agreement has to be that you have personal responsibility.
Oh, yes.
I went to Washington, D.C., and if I had attended that, and if I had made the decision to go ahead and storm the Capitol building, I should be expected to be arrested, period.
Correct.
End of story. Not because I was in a peaceful demonstration, it's because I broke the law. When you break the law, and we have to have the law, then you pay the price. The same way the people in Portland should be paying the price, and the same way the people in Minneapolis and Seattle. You cannot absolve yourself from the personal responsibility. You are not controlled. Your brain is not controlled by Trump. It's not controlled. I mean, that's excuse.
Well, let me give you an example. Let me give you an example of my thought. I was active. I wasn't a demonstrator, but I remember during the anti-Vietnam protests, and the students. I was a student when the students were, doing sit-ins at schools and colleges.
Yep.
And I agree that if they did a sit-in and the police came, they should be arrested. And they can't complain about being arrested. And they were put in jail, and a lot of them were. And it was the whole thing of the Gandhi, that's peaceful resistance.
Yep.
It's, you don't strike back, here, handcuff me, take me to jail. I fully agree with that because you're responsible for that. And I agree that the rioters the people who broke in, and I believe that the people who broke into stores and set fires in stores and all the riots deserve to be arrested. We agree upon that.
But then you have leaders like Nancy Pelosi saying of those other rioters, people will be people. No.
Now, okay,
People need to have personal responsibility when they break in and they start burning houses.
I agree with you, but each case is different.
No, each case is different. It's called personal responsibility.
It's called, personal responsibility, but the penalties should be different for different people.
Well,
and what
I
they do.
understand that, but the bottom
Or the
line
organizers.
is you cannot simply wipe clean with a people will be people comment and let that go
I agree.
when, you know, you're crucifying the people in the Capitol. Those people should be crucified.
But I'm
They
not
should not have done what they did.
I'm not defending Pelosi. I'm not defending Democrats. I'm not defending Schumer. I'm just saying that Trump brought the people there, and I heard the speech, and the speech was, if you have, I don't know how many people, 30, 40,000 people there, and he sort of saying, I've been robbed, I should have been president, they're doing the vote now, we have to stop it. And that's what they did. Now, did he command?
People should have listened to that and said, okay, we can peacefully protest, which is
We're right. But
now at this point right now, see, the problem is at this point right now, you had the day that happened, you had Chuck Schumer, because this was the day after the Georgia sweep of the Democrats getting into the Senate. You had Chuck Schumer then saying, quote unquote, on Twitter, buckle up. What does that mean?
Buckle up means
Why would you say something like that?
From what I
unite the nation. Buckle up.
From what I interpreted is the Democrats are going to be taking over. But that's no excuse to say, okay, we're going to riot so the Congress does not vote on the.
There's no excuse.
No,
there's none.
Okay,
but so there's also no excuse for at this point right now. And I mean, talk about looking like monkey's uncles. I mean, when Angela Merkel says you should not be censoring President Trump, when you have the left-wing Mexican president saying you should not be censoring President Trump, talk about looking foolish. This is crazy. And all of a sudden now they've shut down Parler, they've shut down all, and I'm talking about big tech deciding that you can't say these words, you can't express these things. It's massive censorship, and that is baloney.
Well,
we are walking a very, very tight line here because censorship of Americans is verboten. Oh, did I say verboten? 1933 is exactly how the Nazis were able to get where they needed to.
Wait a minute. I'll give you two words, a name. You tell me what you think of him. Colin Kaepernick.
What about Colin Kaepernick?
He went down on his knees to protest.
Yeah, so what?
Who is the one that said he should be kicked out of football? He should not play.
Who cares?
No, he's the president of the United States. You don't think anybody listens to him about the
what? Colin Kaepernick got a multi-million-dollar contract with Nike, and he doesn't have to play. He doesn't have to. I used to love Colin Kaepernick. Okay. I didn't care whether he went on one knee. That's his prerogative. That's fine. I don't have to watch it, but he got a major contract with Nike. Him one single bit.
But I didn't necessarily. Yeah, it killed his career. An athlete's an athlete.
What career? He wants money. He got a great contract. Not necessarily.
I know. I agree with that. He, as far as monetary wise, he did okay. But if he played, but athletes are a different type of breed. Like they say, an athlete would play if they got nothing. And originally, when they, in my days, they really weren't making that much money. Now it's ridiculous. But
it's the free market system. They should be paid whatever they need to get paid. It's fine.
But I disagree with them banning Trump. But what they should do is they should have somebody monitoring it. I don't think you could say kill blacks, kill Jews.
No, of course not.
Well, that's censorship.
No. Anyway. It's a different situation. For example, they're allowing hang Pence, kill Pence. I mean, you are censoring the president of the United States and you're allowing tweets of hang Pence. Now, obviously, those are from supposed Trump supporters,
No, you don't think they're supporters?
That's horrible.
And you don't think the people, I don't know if you saw some of the T-shirts that they were wearing at the rally, at the people who broke in, the Camp Auschwitz. I forget it.
Whatever T-shirts you want to wear, it's America. Where they broke the law is once they crossed that threshold. Once they started to break the windows, period, end of story. And guess what? They got plenty of videotape. These people are
I agree. Well,
they're going to, and they need to.
Which I do on Facebook, it says Trump didn't start prejudice, but he enabled people. He enabled people to say their beliefs.
Well, you know, once again, it's blaming somebody else. It's been very interesting because I've had to give up a couple of good, solid friends because I'm tired of listening to people being racially prejudiced. And I have decided to give up a very important friendship of mine that I've known this individual for a long time, but I am not going to sit and listen to comments about Blacks and about Hispanics because of the color of their skin. This has it's got to stop. People need to be judged on their values, on how they contribute, but not because of their bloody skin color. It's absurd. This is 2021. It's 2020 last year when I decided to go ahead and stop this friendship. And it was a tough decision to make, but I can't listen to crap.
Yeah.
And I hope you can't either.
Yeah, Deborah, that's why we're still friends. There's a lots of, if we took, if we took Trump, the name Trump, and some of the things he's done as policy, and just took him out of the picture, about 90% we agree on things. I mean,
Thank you.
I mean, we disagree.
This is the first time I've heard it, and I appreciate you saying that because I know he's such a crazy creature at times. But you're right. Some of the accomplishments that he did were stellar, absolutely stellar. And like I said, my friendship with this friend has gone on for a long period of time, and I'm not going to give any more details about it, except the fact that when I'm listening to people saying, individuals saying that Blacks are endemically stupid, I'm just like, what? What?
Well,
are you
no. Any stereotype sort of like that?
No.
I mean, the one that I hope, I hope was true was that the Jews are rich, and so do you with fish.
Well,
I wish that was true.
No, but this is really interesting. You talk about rich, and this will be probably the way we'll start to steer the conversation into a different way. We've reached an age now where we need to find new meaning and we need to find richness in our lives, and it's not money. And what my husband Fish and I have found is a new way of living and a new way of richness. We're wealthy monetarily, not in any way. Are you leaving?
I'm leaving. Can you see me?
Getting up?
Can you see me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, am I in a little screen or a big screen?
You're in a big screen.
Oh, okay. No, I thought you couldn't see me because like right now we're recording.
Okay.
And I'm on a little screen, but I think you were in a close-up. When you look at the shows, you see the close-up of you?
Yeah.
I mean, not close-up where it's you alone on the screen.
Well, that's not good. There's got to be you on the screen too.
No, it's both of us when we're both talking. But when you go certain talking, I mean, now I have what's called gallery view. Now it's both of us.
Okay.
But
I think as we continue with our conversations, I think that I'd like to branch it out in terms of some of the lessons learned and the richness learned in life, because we're at a certain age that we look at things totally differently. I certainly do. I certainly look at things totally differently. And my decision, our decision, my husband and I's decision to leave California was quite a deliberate one, quite a deliberate one. It was interesting being able to fill up a 16-foot Penske truck. And when it was filled to the brim, then we started giving things away. Once again, we did not sell anything. We gave things away to people. And I guess folks were surprised, but there's that wealth that you can do. And
Excuse me, Deborah, I have to take some care of something in the
Yeah.
other room.
Okay.
You're on full screen on the on you're for monologue for a minute.
Oh.
Tell us what you did at the conversation that we had earlier. Tell the audience what you did in taking your walk and what you're doing as far as simplifying your life and not bringing your cell phone with you. That's interesting.
Okay, now is everything okay at the house?
Yeah, no, there was something that happened. I heard I have to take care of it for a minute.
Okay, run.
So, do a monologue.
Okay, so, okay, folks, now that he's gone, we can now really talk, okay? I love Malcolm. I've known him for years, but sometimes I don't understand him. Okay? I will always be a Californian, but I have learned some fascinating things now that I've moved here to South Carolina. We've been here now, I've been here with my dear husband for about 5.5 years, and I found some real peace and some solace in simplifying life and not being so full of things. It's been really interesting. Like I said just a couple minutes ago, when we left California, we decided we had a choice in terms of trucks. We couldn't afford to have a moving company. So we decided to look at a 22-foot Penske truck. Well, that was too big. It just didn't seem like it was us. Of course, driving across the country, 2,400 miles was going to be a problem. So we chose a 16-foot Penske truck. And what we did was we had to make a decision as to what was important in our lives and what was not. What were important to our lives? Well, books were very important in our lives. Certain things that were important, obviously, a couch and some chairs and what have you. And the rest we just gave away. We didn't want to sell it, even though we were pretty penniless. And when we started across the country, I was in a little Honda Element with 2 cats. And he was behind me in that 16-foot Penske truck. We got a chance to come across America. And what I learned coming across America was the feeling of being truly an American. America is a remarkable place, a place of different people, of different states. I'll give you a really good example. The second night, we stopped in New Mexico, and we went to a restaurant and sat down. I looked at the menu, and the prices were just too much. I mean, we literally came across the country with $100, and the prices were just too much. And so we cordially, after we sat down, cordially said to the hostess, well, my wife isn't feeling well. My husband said, we're going to go ahead and leave. So we left and we went across the street to a Taco Bell. We got our $1 tacos, which is what we could afford, ate our $1 tacos, celebrated, and then went on back to the hotel room and went to sleep that night. I wake up first thing in the morning, and I hate to say, I'm a very precise person about things, very detail oriented about things, getting ready to get going. And all of a sudden I look around and my purse is gone. I've lost my purse. Now I got to tell you, everything we had was in my purse, everything. I'm talking about the little bit of money we had, the one credit card we had, my driver's license. I mean, everything. And ladies, you know what else are things in your purse. I mean, pretty important stuff, which we won't talk about since Malcolm has just come back. So of course, Fish, my husband, was just stunned. He said, I can't believe you've left your purse. And I said, well, somebody better do something. He went back to the restaurant, knocked on the back door, and a guy opened up the door, could not speak English. And my husband tried in very broken Spanish and broken, well, obviously good English, about this purse. The guy lit up and said, sí, como no. Races on back, hands my purse to my husband. My husband comes back to me and says, you're not going to believe this. but here's your purse. Everything was there.
Yeah.
Everything was intact. Nothing had been disturbed. Nothing had been disturbed. And it made me feel, I start to get a little teary eyed about it, but you see the kindness of America and you see the kindness of Americans. It just, it made me feel good. And I was so grateful I got my purse back. I've never lost it since. So,
Deborah, I just realized for this
but,
half-hour show, you don't need me.
oh, stop. Of course we need you. Everything
I,
okay?
yeah, I could say, yeah, I could say, good morning, Deborah.
Oh,
And then a half hour later, I can say, Deborah, thank you very much.
sorry, I'm an ex-news reporter. That's what it is. I'm an ex-news reporter.
But you know, it's interesting. I've done cross country, driven cross country with friends several times. Basically, it hasn't been in 30 years or almost 40 years. But
Yeah.
every time I go across country, I'm constantly singing the Pete Seeger song. This land is your land. This land is my land from California.
Yeah.
There's such
Yeah.
diversity.
Yeah.
I mean, the mountains, the long roads. Sometimes you're on a, you know, a new, especially the interstate. You're on the interstate for,
Yep.
it seems like for years, and and it's sort of like straight, you know, with it paved, and it's almost hypnotic. In fact, it is hypnotic if you don't watch out.
Yeah.
And then you go over mountain passes, and then you go up to lakes and rivers. It is so beautiful. I think that
Yeah.
the trick is, or for me at least, is not or to have the ability to switch type of places that you live or you're at. I lived most of my adult life in Manhattan in New York.
Good
But
for you.
part of the time, I lived in off of Central Park West
Oh, nice.
on the Upper West Side. So I got finished with work. I could put on my running things, and I could go to Central Park, and I could run around the reservoir. I went to areas in the park that you couldn't see buildings. I mean, I was always amazed. I was in the woods, and there was this, and you couldn't see. All you saw was trees and you know, the little animals. Of course, you didn't see the you know, wildlife,
Yeah.
except certain areas which we won't talk about.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
And then also for the summertime, I used to share a place or rent a house out in Fire Island.
Oh, nice.
So I would get on the Long Island Railroad, uh, get off in Bayshore. They had a cab wait. You know, they had cabs, and groups of people would take the cab. So it was like a few dollars each. Get into the ferries because Fire Island did not have any cars. To get from one community to another, they didn't have streets either. I mean, they had like these boardwalk type of streets. But to get from one community to another, which might be several miles, you ordered a water taxi. So
Oh,
you
really?
water taxi, because Fire Island is, one side was the Atlantic Ocean, the other side was the Great South Bay. Great South Bay was very calm. So you take the water taxi on the Great South Bay, go from one dock to another, or wherever you wanted to go. So that, I mean, that was tranquility for me. I could not stay in Fire Island. I think one time I stayed like 2 weeks. I was brain dead.
Yeah, right.
Because you sort of like walk and you see it, and sort of you become part of nature. You don't appreciate nature. You are nature.
Well, it's funny because the place we are located here in Greenville. We're just north of downtown, about 3.5 miles. And what's interesting about it is that we're, as I've said before, in a working class neighborhood. So we have all kinds of different people here, and it's fascinating. We got our walk in today, and we walked into some new areas. The people here are phenomenally friendly. It doesn't make any difference what race you are. They're extremely friendly. Everybody's saying hi. Hey, y'all, how you doing this morning?
Hey, yo.
No, it's really interesting. And I do believe that it's part of the fact that many of us are come from other parts of the country. And I think that maybe we're expecting things to be unfriendly, but they're not. They're very friendly here. What they don't want to have happen here is that we bring some of the troubles from places like California, places like New York. They don't want some of the troubles to be brought down here. And that's understandable. That's absolutely understandable. But the friendliness, the unassumedness, um, and they're not, and it's funny, they're not hicks. I took kind of offense when you said that I was becoming a, like a farmer. Um, no, this is the new way of doing things. Um, we're cityfied, but we're also very rural. And within 5 minutes of here, I can go up to Paris State Mountain, the park up there, and I can be in the middle of the wilderness, for crying out loud. Coyotes, bears, deer, you name it. And yet 3 miles away, I can go down to the Peace Center where they're having Broadway shows. And soon enough, with COVID finally under control, which we're getting there, we'll be able to all start to gather again. Although I will be a little reluctant because I've been very careful, and so has my husband Fish, been very careful about wearing our masks. And we don't see it as a political statement about wearing masks, for heaven's sake.
Well, as I say,
Virus.
there are many ways, which again, you are reasonable. But there are many ways. There are many ways. Yeah. And what I meant when I say you're farmers, I mean it would be returning to the simpler way of life, to more rural way of life. I mean, we happen to be. I mean, farmers could be, have the internet in the house and computers, and they could be very computer savvy, and they're doing all technicians. I meant lifestyle, not necessarily where your head's at.
It's interesting. I make my own bread now, my own mayonnaise, making my own butter. We're doing a lot of our own types of things. We have a micro garden downstairs where we grow kale and arugula and basil and all of that. And it's very interesting because that simpler life of appreciating the simple things. My mom used to talk about things like that, and I never understood it because I was too young and
as I say,
and too blonde.
I think of Green Acres. I mean, you're not. I mean, the people there aren't like the Green Acre people. I'm thinking of the lifestyle that Eddie Albert and Eva Gabor. Eva Gabor.
Well, yeah, it's very interesting. It's just very, very interesting here. And like I said, we were approached by many of our neighbors with a lot of suspicion. They were very concerned about us being from California, and we assuaged that worry by opening up our home. We have bonfires in the backyard. We use a little Weber grill. It's not a grill. It's, not a gas grill. It's just a regular one of these buckets that you can put firewood into. And we invite everybody to come on over with masks, of course, to have a cup of coffee or some cocoa and what have you, and to talk about things. It's settling down and appreciating people and individuals. And that's the reason I want to keep talking with you about things. We cannot allow the politics to divide us.
Now
They're together with us than we have any idea. And this whole situation, give up the situation with impeachment. It's not going to help. It's going to divide us.
A lot of people agree with you. A lot of people agree with me. But in any event, that we both agree upon is that our time is up. We went way over half hour.
Oh, sorry.
Believe it or not. That's okay. We could start, as I say, we could start talking in 2 hours later. Because But anyway,
I hope it's interesting. I hope it's interesting to people. I think it's interesting listening to people talk about everyday life. It's fascinating how people cope and how they get along.
Well, the important thing is I find it interesting because you have to.
Me too.
You have to please yourself before you please others. But
that's true. And I do like your background. I like your Golden Gate background.
Okay,
and I'm
thank you.
Sorry, next time about the Golden Gate Bridge with Fish.
Well, I might travel around the world. I have to see different backgrounds. But anyway,
okay,
we'll speak to each other next week. I'm sure there's some other news that's gonna pop in. I don't know whether we agree upon or not. I hope there's certain things that happen that we agree upon. And my hope is that what Biden does is unite the country, and we'll do policies that make sense, at least to both of us.
God willing.
Okay.
All right, my dear.
Send my love to Fish.
Yeah, my love to Anna.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
bye.